Well, hello, rocker fans. I'm doing a video on the install of Love Jugs on a Harley rocker. Mine happens to be a C. It's got a little bit of work done to it if you guys are following my videos or my other stuff. So I wanted to show you guys that are going to do it what I wind up having to do to make it work. I got the grenade. Basically, I'm using the fans in the location right behind where you mount the grenade for your ignition. So I had to take my ignition off. This is the ignition right here, and pull the grenade off. And you just unplug the wires, and that'll show you how to. You'll be able to figure that part out. So what I had to do for mods is I had to drill holes right here. Let's see if I can do that. There's one, the top one and the bottom one, into the bracket back here. This is the bracket right here that goes around it. I had to drill holes into that bracket to make the Love Jugs bolt onto the bracket. And then what I did is I used a tap and die, and I made it where the screws that they sent me in the kit would screw right into those locations that I put. So I kind of figured out where I needed it to go. I needed to be just a little bit at an angle, so I did that. I wound up having to grind the grooves in the Love Jugs on the bottom and on the top, just to give me a little bit of leeway there to put the screws in, and then get my adjustments where I wanted them. I put a lock nut on the back of the bottom one, so I have a screw here that goes through, and I put a lock nut on it, and then this one is threaded, so I just screwed it straight through and screwed it down, and it goes between the bracket and then the big heavy mount that you see right here, which is the mount that the ignition and everything goes on. That thing is really heavy, and doing the tap and die through it was quite a chore. Anyway, so I got that in, and then I had to slot this bottom area right here. Normally that's just a hole, but because putting these bolts on behind the ignition was going to space it a little bit, it was going to make that not work. It would have been out there too far to have had any hole left, so I just went ahead and notched it. And then I'll show you what the grenade. Put the grenade up here. I lost a little light because I had to drop the flashlight while I'm doing this. But I put the grenade on like that. Basically, I just slide it right over the ignition, and then I'll put my little the screw that goes over the top, or the nut that goes over that. Put that back in, and then right down below it here you see the screw that will tighten down the grenade, and that basically is going to put the whole thing in there, make it work. I'll put my plug wires back on. Let's see if I can show you. Messing around here a little bit with my light. So just put my plug wires back on just like they would go, and they'll go on there in their normal slots on both sides. Put it all together, and when it's all done, it should look kind of cool. I'm excited about the way it looks. I really got them for the functionality. I want to be able to keep my engine cooler when I'm doing slow, kind of if you get in a parade or something like that. I just didn't want to worry. I've got a lot of money wrapped up in the engine work on this thing, and I wanted to keep it as cool as I could keep it. So I are really getting them for that. But I also think they add a pretty neat look to it. This side needed something. It was kind of boring over here. You have your cool intake on the other side, but this gives it a little nicer look. The quality in the Love Jugs, I can't even comment on how good it is. It's just, but I will. It's really good. they give you with their frame kit chrome adapters that work really well. I mean, that would work well. I didn't need to use them here, but the quality on those chrome adapters is really good. You put them on your bike, they're going to look really good. So I'll add to this video when I'm done with it, just to show you how it works and you know what it looks like. So thanks for now. Bye. Okay, so here I am the day after. The first video was in the garage that night, doing the initial installation. I got it wired, and what I did is I wound up using a double fuse, where you just pull you pull the accessory fuse out, and then you put a double fuse in, and then that way you can put your accessory fuse in, and then an additional fuse that you'll use for your Love Jugs. I want to point out some things that I didn't point out earlier, and that is that I did have to do some Dremel work up around the area of the ignition to make sure that and in the back area of that grenade as well, to make it where it would slide in a little bit better, so that I could get the screw to actually screw down. I had initially just put it in there last night, and it was on, but it wasn't on good enough, so I had to Dremel some out to make that happen. So back to the fuse thing. If you use that fuse, make sure you put it on the accessory thing, and that way it works with the accessory key. So when your bike is off, if you're wanting to keep your fans on for a little bit, you can do that pretty easily. Trying to remember some things that I wanted to point out here. Of course, this video is at your own risk. Blah blah blah. No warranties expressed or implied. You know, all that kind of junk. The things that I've talked about are really rocker specific as well, and as you guys know that have done any customizing, every bike is different. Everything that you do, you wind up having to tweak a little bit differently. So this is what worked for me and what it was that I was doing. I'm going to go ahead and turn the accessory key on so you can see it work. The thing that I also didn't point out about it was that I mounted them upside down. Normally you have the buttons in the videos that Love Jug guys have. They usually will have them mounted on the top. There was no choice on the rocker. If you turned it upside down, it would have been too high up here by the gas tank, and so that just wouldn't have worked. So you have to do them buttons down. I would have done them that way anyway, because I think they look better, look a lot cleaner without seeing the switches. But anyway, here's the fans. So accessory keys on, and then you just and that's it. Sounds kind of like regular fans when you turn them on. Be interesting to see how they do. It looks like they're going to do great. Okay, that's pretty much it. Got other stuff I'm doing with lights. The rear fender's not on the bike, so if you've seen any of the pictures that I did, you can see that it didn't have the rear fender on it. One of the things I did this summer was that rocker seat. Bobber seat scenario there. Danny Gray did that custom seat for me. I'll go over that on the next video. I'm going to do a video specifically on that rocker package, and doing some custom lights and stuff. Got most of that stuff done, but watch the other videos and you'll see. So much for the Love Jugs one. Thanks guys, bye.